In this episode of Hollywood Insiders, we dive into the legendary 2012 film Flight, starring Denzel Washington as Captain Whitaker. Witness the heart-stopping moment Whitaker makes the desperate, controversial decision to roll a commercial airline inverted to stop an uncontrolled dive and save his passengers. We explore the intense performance that earned Denzel critical acclaim and look at the realism behind the most famous aviation maneuver. Was Whitaker, however you pronounce that, a hero or a villain? Join us as we break down the themes of redemption in the act of God that changed everything. So let's go ahead and get into this clip, and afterwards I will come back and give you my analysis and commentary.
Lawsuits. Somebody has to pay.
Write a check? It's not going to be me, I promise you that. As long as they're writing checks, tell them to write one for me too. Because someone put me in a broken plane. I'd love a check, Charlie.
This toxicology report states that you were drunk and high on cocaine. Felony is punishable by up to 12 years in prison, and if it is proven that your intoxication was the cause of the death of the 4 passengers, now we're going to look at 4 counts of manslaughter. That could be life in prison. Now,
to create the Halloween crash and flight, director Robert Zemrick, known for his role in Forrest Gump and Castaway, combine old school mechanism effect with cutting edge digital work. The trembling gibber, whatever that means, to capture the disorientation of the plane rolling. The production built a massive motion gibber that could actually rotate 360 degrees. The setup: a full-scale interior cabin of an AD-80 was mounted inside a giant metal drum. The effect: unlike most shaky cam movies, the actors and 100 plus extras was physically upside down. This focused the authentic action or reaction of blood rushing to their faces and half hanging towards the ceiling. Safety: stunt coordinators had to secure everything from coffee pots to luggages, as loose props became dangerous projectiles during the rotation. Digital planes assets: while the interior was physical, the exterior of the plane was almost entirely CGI, computer-generated imagery. Mechanical failure: VFX team substantially modified the jack screw, the part of the brakes that used physical-based simulation to show how the metal would shear and how the horizontal stabilizer would shuttle uncontrollably in the wind. The clip: in the scene where the plane clips a church steeple, the debris, fire, and structural damage to the wing was rendered using fluid dynamics software to ensure the weight and speed felt terrifyingly real. Seamless integration: the most difficult part was the snapshot green screen window. The view out of the cockpit window was added in post-production to make it look real. Lighting technicians used LED panels outside the physical gimbal that projected the movement, skies, and ground patterns, ensuring the sunlight shifted across Denzel's face accurately as the plane rolled. The crash site: the final resting place of the plane was a combination of a real feel in Georgia and digital matted painting to add the surroundings, neighborhood, and emergencies of vehicles. Sound design. The visual effects was sold by the audio. Sound designers use recording of real mechanism, stress, groaning metal, screaming turbine, and the stabilizing snipping to create a censored experience that felt like the aircraft was physically disintegrating. The final results. The sequence cost a significant portion of the film's $31 million budget, but it was closely considered one of the most technical, accurate, and terrifying depiction of an aviation emergency in cinema history. And so there you have it. That's going to do it for this review of the movie called Flight. Again, it is a 2012 movie starring Denzel Washington. And as always, Denzel, a magnificent actor. He is legendary. I do believe the brother now is in his early 70s. So he has been around for quite some time. He is about, I want to say, 7 to 8 years older than myself. With me, I'm turning 64 in June, but I can remember growing up and watching his brother in the movies on TV and at the cinema theater. Again, the movie is called The Flight, 2012 The Flight. It is one of the must-see. It is one of the must-see movies, in my opinion. And this scene that we just reviewed and analyzed was a great scene and clip of the movie. I think it was the best part of the movie, especially when he was trying to get control of his aircraft by rolling the commercial airplane, causing it to be inverted. Like I said earlier in my review, this is more friction than real life, where you cannot roll a commercial airline due to the oil and the hydraulic system and everything else. You would just simply lose all of that fluid. And if you lost all of that fluid, you're definitely going to be doomed for a crash. And once that stuff is gone and you done dumped all your fuel because you was inverted, then there's no way to recover this aircraft. The only aircraft that you could invert doing something like this would be a jet fighter aircraft. I remember about 30 years ago, I went to flight school there in Atlanta. I wasn't able to complete it simply because the cost was tremendously expensive, probably even more today. But I did have the opportunity to do a takeoff, and my actual training was in a single engine Cessna. Keep in mind now, at this particular time, this was the first time I was ever on an aircraft. And so how many of you out there can actually say the first time you was on an aircraft that you was the pilot that was actually flying the plane with an instructor now? I had an instructor. My instructor was a white female who was very experienced in what she was doing. So she made sure that I didn't do anything crazy to cause the plane to crash. But I tell you, that was an experience I will never forget. It's a whole lot different flying a plane when you are in the pilot's seat and you are seeing everything. I remember coasting down the runway there in Atlanta. I think it was South Fulton County, a little small airport there in South Fulton County. It wasn't the big one in Hawksfield International in Atlanta. It was the other one. They have a small one there in South Fulton County. And I remember taxiing down the runway, and first we did the pre-flight check of this single engine Cessna. Now starting up the plane, almost like starting up the engine of a vehicle. You go and check your oil and check your fluid level and check the stabilizer. You want to make sure that nothing is broken and everything is functioning properly. And so we checked everything, and then we started up the engine, and we had to step back, 25, 50 feet, and let the propellers start up as the engine started up. And I must say, at first start, it's like cranking up a car, an old vehicle, and the old vehicle is having a hard time starting up. Wow, we gonna fly in this thing? The inside was nice, it's just the engine was cold, and it was having problems cranking it up. And it finally caught and turned itself on, and once it warmed up, it was a whole lot better. Trust me, or I would not have gotten in it. So once we got through with our pre-flight check, we entered inside the aircraft, locked ourselves down, communicated with the aircraft controllers, and the aircraft controller come back and gave us a runway to use to take off. And she let me taxi down the runway, and she had me to go full power. And once we went full power, prior to that point, I was rolling towards the runway. And the way you control a plane when it's on the ground is not by the throttle. You use the foot pedals. So you have 2 foot pedals inside the plane, and you use your foot left or right to guide the aircraft as you taxi to the runway. And you have the engine at low speed. And then once you get to the runway, we ask for clearance from the controllers, tower control. And once we got that clearance, then we went full power. Once we went full power, then you release the brakes and you taxi on down the runway. And once the plane starts taking off, then you go ahead and pull back on the yoke. I guess that's what you call it. It's been a long time. I said it's been over 30 years ago. So if I'm mispronouncing the name, you know why. But we pulled back on the control handle. And she said once it get up to 150 knots, then the plane. While the film Flight is a fiction work, the harrowing plane inversion scene was loosely inspired by a real-life tragedy of Alaskan Airlines Flight 261 in January 2000. The real-life inspiration. The incident, like the plane in the movie Alaskan Airlines 261, a McDowell Douglas MD-83 suffered a catastrophic failure of the jack screw, a critical component that controls the horizontal stabilizer, the maneuver. The real pilots, Captain Ted Thompson and First Officer Bill Tasker, actually attempted to fly the plane inverted in their final moments to regain control. Verbatim dialogue. Some of the dialogue used in the film's cockpit scene, such as "at least upside down, we are flying," was taken directly from the real cockpit voice recorder CVR transcript. The outcome, unlike the movie, the real maneuver was unsuccessful. The plane crashed into the Pacific Ocean, and there were no survivors. Denzel Washington preparation simulator training. To make the cockpit scene feel authentic, Washington spent hours in a flight simulator to understand the routines and physical environments of a pilot. Real props. They use a real beat-up flight bag provided by a pilot he trained with, or add a layer of specific reality to his character. The character, or Whitaker, was an original creation of screenwriter John Gatton's, designed to explore the dichotomy of a hero who is also a struggling addict. Technical accuracy versus Hollywood. The role. Aviation experts noticed that most commercial aircraft are not designed to sustain inverted flights because of fuel, oil, and hydraulic system rely positive G-forces to functions. The simulation. In the film, it is claimed that no other pilot could replicated, you can't pronounce that one, replicated the landing in a simulator. In other words, no other pilot could duplicate the landing as Denzel did in the simulator. In reality, the NTSB investigation into the Alaskan 261 concluded that the failure was unrecoverable by any pilot. For the 85th Academy Award in 2013, the movie Flight received 2 Oscar nominations. Best Actor, Denzel Washington was nominated for his lead performance as Captain William Whitaker Sr. He ultimately lost the award to Daniel Day-Lewis for his role in Lincoln. Best Original Screenplay, John Gattens was nominated for his script. The award was won by Quentin Tarantino, Django Unchained. And Django Unchained was also a terrific movie to watch too for all of you movie goers. So if you haven't seen Django, sometimes I want to pronounce the D, but I guess the D is silent. And so instead of, even though it's spelled DJANGO, it is actually pronounced Django. But when you see me having problems pronouncing it. So when I look at it, I look at Django. Significant records and context. Historic milestone. This nomination made Denzel Washington the most nominated black actor in Academy history at that time. End of a decade gap, it marks Washington's first Oscar nomination in over 10 years. Well, that's a long time for Denzel to only receive an Oscar nomination. And so many films that this legendary actor has been in and has created, that seemed me long overdue. Well, that was following his 2002 win for Training Day. Widespread critical acclaim beyond the Oscars, Washington received Best Actor nomination for his role in the Golden Globe Screen Actors Guild SAG Awards and Critical Choice Awards. It would jump up in the air. And so we taxied on down the runway with me flying. Sure enough, we got to 150 knots and the plane, it just took off just like that. And I tell you, that was one of the most significant, amazing feelings I ever had. Also scary, simply because it was my first time on a plane. We got up to about, 25, maybe 30,000 feet, maybe even not even that high. Just above the trees, were quite a bit above the trees. Flew around the city of Atlanta, made a couple of turns. Me being the first time I was ever in an aircraft, at first I was afraid to look out, so I'm just sitting there with my eyes just focusing on the instrument, because you have the instruments too that you have to be watching, and you have a little ball, a little gauge there where you have the airplane, and you want to have the airplane at the sky level between the sky and the ground. You want to have it in the middle, and so I constantly watch that to make sure that the plane stayed level. And so I finally got the nerves to look out over the city like this, like I'm doing now. And I can say it was an enjoyable experience once we got airborne and the plane stabilized. The landing part of the instructor guided me back towards the airport, and then she took over the landing. And the landing, you simply just adjust the flaps, and what it does, it goes up like so, and the air started just leaking out of coming out of the wing, bringing the plane down just like so. And you go ahead and turn the plane towards where you're going to land at, because once you do that, it's going to the ground. But that was really a terrific experience. And so this movie here reminds me of that, even though it was not a commercial plane. And the second time I actually got on a plane, I flew to the Philippine island, well actually Manila, Philippines, was the second time I got on the plane. And that took me, that flight was about 23 hours. So imagine the second time you're on an airplane, you're flying somewhere for 23 hours. And the killing thing, once I got there, I stayed about 30 days, and I had to come back, which I was regretting. But I lived through it and went through it twice. Went to the Philippines twice on vacation, as you know. But this movie reminds me of that, and it got me into the idea of sharing this story with you guys as well. And once again, we thank you for rocking with us and tuning in to each and every episode of Hollywood Insiders. I'm your host, John Chaff, and feel free to leave a comment below what you think about this great movie, and where have you been the first time you got on a aircraft. Again, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.